Can anybody explain what happened to me? I'm 27 years old, female, and I love being outside. The woods is where I feel at home. I've been camping out alone in the woods several times, and I'm an avid outdoors woman. Now, on to my story. It's summer 2018. The temperature was high, and I just needed to be outside. I was going to camp out in the forest. I've only been to one time before. It's beautiful, and there are a lot of places that people never go. I've heard about this pretty waterfall that I was going to try to find. The maps are a bit unclear, and I couldn't find much about the location, but I was going to try to find it. It was Friday, and I'd packed all my gear. I had my tent packed, but I thought maybe I'd sleep out under the sky. Of course, it could be hot, so sleeping inside a tent wouldn't be so great anyway. It was 8 a.m., and I'd arrived at the parking lot. I parked my car and started to unload my stuff. I suddenly got this really weird feeling that I was being watched. I acted like nothing was wrong, and then I turned around really fast to see if someone was watching me. To my surprise, there was no one. I was all alone. So I started to listen, and I thought I heard a sound. My breathing was fast. Why do I suddenly feel so scared? I've never been scared. I've done this so many times. What could possibly be the reason for me to feel like this? I shrugged and turned around to collect the rest of my things. I started walking down the path while I looked at the map. I noticed that the map was a little old, so maybe it's a bit different now. I'd bought a new map, but I must have packed the old one instead. Well, I'd find this waterfall no matter what. After about an hour of walking, I found a little path. It was barely there, but I could see it. I started following it, and there's a lot of obstacles blocking the way, but I managed to navigate through them. Another hour, and I heard the sound of a waterfall. I began to smile. I was close now. Shortly after I found the waterfall, I was in awe of how magical it was. Is this even real? I took some pictures, and I started to set my camp up. I'm not setting the tent up. I'm going to sleep under the open sky. I had a lot of canned food with me, because the forest is so dry in the summer, so starting a fire is dangerous. I looked through my things and realized I forgot my gun. I only have my hunting knife. Darn, I wish I hadn't forgot it at home. I spent the rest of the day at the waterfall, and I didn't see or hear anyone. I was utterly alone the whole time. As the sky got darker, I started getting ready for bed. Tomorrow was a new day, and I was going to hike the area. The day passes fast, and soon it was night. I lay on my sleeping pad, and just as I'm falling asleep, I heard something. I didn't know what it was, but it makes my heart start pounding. I get this feeling of being watched again. I find my flashlight and start looking around. I look at my phone, but I have no service. I start to panic. I turned my flashlight off and started to listen. There's no sound. None at all. It's just so quiet. I've never heard a forest so silent. Then I hear a branch crack suddenly. Then silence again. I get my knife and I listen intensely, and then I hear it again. A branch breaking. Something's close, and it's sneaking closer. The only thing I can hear are my heartbeat and my breath. I sit there listening for several minutes, but nothing happens. An hour later, I haven't heard anything. I'm scared. My heart's beating so fast, but after some time, I managed to fall asleep. I wanted to set the tent up, but it was so dark, and I didn't have time for it now. 3:33 a.m., I wake up again, bathed in sweat, and once again I feel like I'm being watched. I start fumbling around for my flashlight, but I can't find it. I panicked, but then I found it. It's 20 inches away from me, but how did it get that far away? I turned the light on and looked around, and then I realized my knife was gone. I shone the light around on the ground. I see something. I look closer, but what is that? My body freezes. Right there, it's a message written in the dirt. The words, "I see you, but you can't see me." I just stare at it, thinking something was here. While I slept, something was this close to me, and now I don't have anything to protect myself with. Then I hear it again in the distance. Someone's whistling and humming. Then it stops, and it's replaced with hysterical laughter. My body's shaking. Someone's mocking me, and they have my knife. I'm sweating so much, but I feel so cold. I start to think about my family. What would they think if I never came home? Are they ever going to find me if this thing kills me? Do I regret anything? Why did I go into this forest when I'd already felt something in the parking lot? Why didn't I listen to my gut? My body was trying to warn me, and I was so stupid. My thoughts kept running through my head. I see my life passing before my eyes, but then I feel a high in my body. It's rising through my body, and suddenly, I want to run. If this thing's gonna kill me, I'm not gonna go out without a fight. I stood up and just started running. I'm falling over things onto the ground, but I just keep running. The laughing comes closer, and I can hear it as I'm being followed by someone or something. I hit my head, I scrape my legs. They hurt, but I just keep running. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm praying that I get out alive. It's only a few feet behind me now. It's getting closer. Every second that passes by, I'm crying, and I keep thinking about my family. I don't want to leave them behind. It's going to reach me any second now. It's so close I can hear its breath. It's not laughing anymore. It's just breathing, heavy and slow, like it's not hard at all. If it wanted, it could just take me right now. But it doesn't touch me. It's right behind me, and I'm just running for my life. And then I tripped, and I fell on the ground. And as long as I was there, no more than a few seconds, I knew it was over. I was not going to survive this. I turned around and looked up, shining my light over my head, and I could feel the breath on my cheek, but I couldn't see anything. Then I hear a whistling right above my head. I can smell it. I'm gagging, and I'm crying, and I'm begging for my life. Then I blacked out. When I opened my eyes, the sun was rising. I'm bleeding from my legs and my head, but I was alive. I looked around, and I was alone, but I can hear a car. I must be close to the parking lot. I got up and started following the sound of the car. When I got to the road, I could see it coming towards me, and I flagged it down. It's a kind woman, and she stopped her car and asked if I was okay. I couldn't speak. I'm just crying, and then she asks me, "Are you Maria?" I look at her and just nod. How did she know my name? She asked if I was aware that I'd been missing for 7 days. I looked at her, confused. How can I have been missing for 7 days? I've only been in the woods since yesterday. She calls someone, and a police car comes, an ambulance too, and I'm put into the ambulance. I'm still not able to speak. They drive me to the hospital, but I'm physically okay. My dad walks in crying, and he's so happy to see me alive. This is real. I can't remember the last 6 days. What happened to me? How am I still alive? What did it do to me? I never got back to collect my things, and I never got an answer on what had happened that night. I'm never going into the forest again. I don't want to play with my second chance at life. Good evening, everyone. It's me, Dr. Plague. Thank you so much for joining me for tonight's story. If you enjoyed tonight's story, why not go ahead and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Maybe hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the spooky stuff we do here. If you'd like to get a copy of my latest book, there's a link below. Or if you'd like to support the show more monetarily, you can always come down to Patreon. I have many tiers. I'm sure you'll find something that interests you. If you're interested in my books, I always recommend my Ghostly Reader tier. Ghostly Readers get a copy of my book signed on their doorstep anytime I write one, which is at least twice a year. Patrons always get their spooky a little bit early so they can enjoy them before that night's premiere. And speaking of patrons, let's go ahead and thank them. Thanks to Janet and Winters for being our Spooky Skeleton tier contributors. And thanks to Xaronana, Emily Coltsfoot, Martha, Marianne Schuler, Jennifer Damron, and Tyler Parker for being our Ghostly Reader tier contributors. Thanks, guys. We just couldn't do the show without you. I'm sure by now you can see some videos appearing at the end here. If you think you might like a little more spooky, why not go ahead and click on another one? I'm sure you can handle a little bit more. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Dr. Plague, signing off. Have a wonderful evening.